Hi, everyone. So good to see you all. Give me just a moment to get everyone admitted. Can someone give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay on my earbuds? Awesome. Thank you. All right, so I'm so happy that each of you are here right now, this morning, this evening, wherever you are in the day. We're gonna spend 1 more minute, possibly 2 minutes, to make sure that I can still see that a few people are entering. So I'm gonna make sure that everyone is admitted. And then we'll get started. Hello, hello, everyone that's just coming on. So good to see you all. Hi, Alexandra and Amisha and Julie and Heather. Hi, and Leah. So good to see you. All right, do me a favor and check your account. Sorry, hang on. Oh, check your account and just make sure that your end is muted. That'll be most helpful. Hi, Jennifer. And I thought I saw Rebecca just sign on. Where did she go? Hi, Rebecca. And also, I invite you each to turn on your screen so we can all see one another. And I still have some people entering, so give me just 1 more minute. Yay, this is exciting, you guys. I'm so honored to spend this hour together. Admit all. Okay, in just a minute, I'm gonna hit record and we're gonna get going. Hi, Najla. So good to see you. Hi, Miranda. All right. Welcome again and hello. Give me 1 minute to hit record and then we'll officially launch into our discussion. Oops, cancel. All right. All right, Rebecca says, hi, I will be on video soon. So yes, I welcome and invite everyone to turn on your video as long as you're not, in the car driving. If you have little ones running around, we're all in it together. I 100% respect you and appreciate you even more for being here this morning or today, wherever you are in your time. So come on and join us. I want to start off by introducing myself because there's a lot of you on here that I've known for a while and that have been with Ayurvedic Mamas for quite some time with past trainings and just these ongoing conversations. However, there's a few of you on here that are new. So my name is Jenna and I'm the creator and co-founder of Ayurvedic Mamas. I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner and I specialize in birth support, specifically postnatal healing through the lens of Ayurveda. And I've been wholeheartedly committed to this practice for over a decade. However, since landing here in Los Angeles a little over 4 years ago, I've worked with women all over the world and through Ayurvedic Mamas and this virtual platform that we've begun to establish. My heart is fully in three places. So, number one, of course, is with my children. I have a 3-year-old and I have a 9-month-old. And I'm also committed to supporting new mothers directly as an Ayurvedic postpartum doula. I'm working directly with women. However, it's most of my work is virtual these days with the pandemic going on. I'm also committed to growing this community of our online platform and our online cohort, which again is expanding. And while it's there's quite a few of us here in California and Southern California, there's also others, and including you, that are here from literally all over the world. And that's exciting to me. I welcome you to these trainings and to these conversations, and I'm excited to support you as you become experts in this field. So real quick, next week we're releasing our self-paced Ayurvedic postpartum doula course. And at the end of this conversation today, we have a gift for you. So stick with us through the hour if you're able. We've been running this incredible program, which is the online training, for over 3 years now. We started building it and piecing it together. I don't even know how many years back, but we're excited with this rollout because for the first time, each of the 6 modules are going to be released weekly according to your registration date. So meaning that everyone can be truly on their own schedule and go at their own timing and move through the content as it best works for your schedule. So this is exciting because it's been our goal to make this as truly self-paced as possible for each participant that's joined us over the past couple of years. However, at the same time, while we make it self-paced, it's also really important to continue with an ongoing cohort interaction, so an ongoing interaction and engagement between all of us. And that means not just you hearing from me and from our experts, but also interacting with one another. So I'm excited. And again, I realize that most of you, well, a lot of you that are on here this morning have joined us in the past. So my ask today for those of you that have not yet joined our doula training, our Ayurvedic doula training, is to consider it, to reach out to us if you have questions. And for those of you that have completed it in the past, share this work, share this knowledge, share your own expertise, and we'll continue that way to spread the energy of this healing practice around the world to those that need it most. And in our field, it's newborn mothers. So our Ayurvedic course, I want to just really quickly tell you what it includes. I'm going to jump into a screen share really quick. So give me one moment. Hi, Jill. Hi, Catherine. Hello, hello. All right. Screen share. Okay. All right. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you can see the slides, birth recovery in the gut. Yes, awesome. Yay. Okay. I just see that my screen did a quick change. Are you guys still seeing the same slides? Thumbs up one more time. Cool. Thank you, Amisha. All right. So really quick, what I want to let you know is our Ayurvedic postpartum doula course, which is just going to be releasing next week. It includes a couple of different modules, and what it includes is an abundance of really well organized material, which offers, first of all, a really thorough introduction to Ayurveda, Our co-founder, Lisa Arshofsky, and myself. Lisa is a registered nurse and an active licensed midwife, and she put together a really incredible module that goes in depth truly on lactation, milk production, breastfeeding, as well as physiological healing following birth. We cover Ayurvedic cooking and the use of herbs, mindfulness or metta practices, loving kindness practices directed towards the self, and in-home healing therapies, such as belly wrapping, baby massage, and the list goes on and on. We also cover postnatal mood conditions, Ayurvedic emotional and mental support that is critical when considering the prevalence of postnatal depression and anxiety that is experienced today, and so much more. So today we're going to go over with you just a brief look, of course, diving in depth as possible as we possibly can in the next hour, but we're going to take a look at food intake and as it relates to recovery following birth. In our virtual courses, we cover the 4 pillars of postnatal care, and these are the therapies and the tools that are needed for a complete recovery. And today we're going to focus again on birth recovery in the gut, specifically the Ayurvedic view, the Ayurvedic view of birth recovery as it pertains to food intake and what exactly that means. And as it pertains to other outcomes of our bodies coming back to a state of balance, specifically looking at it as it pertains to perinatal mood disorders as well. So first, before we jump in any further, I'm going to pause my screen share if I can, and I want to see who's here today. So can you guys please, over in the chat, if you can see it, if you can find the chat box, open the chat screen, type in your name, a little bit about who you are and where you're tuning in from. I'm going to see if I can make my way back to the chat screen. Let's see. All right. So your name and a little bit, just short 1 sentence about who you are, maybe what your background is, why you're interested in Ayurvedic postnatal care. Type in what it is that you feel called to share this morning, and also where you're tuning in from. I make sure that I can see everybody. All right. I don't see anything coming in. Okay, there we go. I think my chat box just took a minute to reload. So Heidi says, hi, Heidi from Boston. Welcome, Heidi. You are an Ayurvedic women's coach. Amazing. Oh no, that's Kirsten. Sorry, my chat box is sliding through. So let me go back to Heidi. Heidi is an Ayurvedic counselor and fitness instructor. Amazing, from Boston. Welcome, welcome. Leah is a birth and postpartum doula from San Diego. She just finished our Ayurvedic postpartum doula training, and she's excited to continue on this forum. Awesome, welcome Leah. And Rebecca works in PR communications. She's a yoga teacher and a dear friend of mine, I might add. She lives in San Francisco and she's coming in from Boston today as well. So another one from Boston. Welcome, Rebecca. Miranda is a prenatal and postnatal yoga teacher, yoga for trauma. Awesome. Ayurvedic practitioner student, studio owner, mama at 2 in the Midwest. And Jennifer is tuning in from Phoenix, Arizona, lifelong student, graduate of Ayurvedic Mamas. Amazing. Catherine, hello everyone. She's currently feeding her 5-month. Amazing, Catherine. Love it, and so grateful to have you here today, tuning in from Florida at her parents'. Kind of living all over at the moment. Totally get that. All right. And there's 12 more messages. So instead of going through all of them, you guys can glance over and take a look at the read through. Julie, hello. She's here in Los Angeles, lives not too far from me, another dear friend and a graduate from our training not too long ago. Awesome. All right, welcome you guys. I'm so happy to have each of you here. Okay, I'm gonna jump back over to our screen share. All right, are you guys able to still see? Give me a thumbs up. It's the slide that should say our meeting today. Yeah, cool. Okay. So one of the hats that we wear as doulas is supporting parents as they adjust to their new role and experience the mood and emotional fluctuation that often is very much a part of it. And um, in our meeting today, we're going to just touch on that, glance at it a little bit as we dive into a look at food intake, gut health. The Ayurvedic term is Agni, and we're going to tie it into postnatal recovery and how it pertains to perinatal mood disorders. So we'll be going over Agni. We'll take a look at a few recipes, which I'll be sharing with you in an email following our meeting today. And we're also going to be discussing a couple of our favorite ingredients as well. So here's the quote that I just read to you guys. So our role as Ayurvedic postpartum doulas, this also is your role as a human, right? And as a woman just living in today's modern world. I think this is especially true considering the pandemic and the lockdown that a lot of us are experiencing currently, depending on where you're located. But supporting others as much as possible as a mother, as a friend, as a sister, as a colleague, as a neighbor, supporting others in whatever ways you can show up, even if it's just using your voice and the emotional capacity to hold space for them as they go through the process of mending and healing and sorting through the processing experience following their own delivery and birth. I came across this quote. Actually, it was an article found in PubMed not too long ago, and I just wanted to I copied and pasted this quote that I wanted to share with you. The novel coronavirus COVID-19 outbreak places perinatal women at a higher risk of developing anxiety and depression, which I don't think is a surprise, right, to most of us. Uncertainty, fear, and confusion in medical, social, economic, occupational, and political aspects of life in the United States, although I believe that each of these factors also apply, most certainly apply to women around the world. Political aspects of life in the United States adds to existing stressors that perinatal women experience. So that's something to keep in mind as well. One thing that I'm going to add in here about myself, I mentioned that I have 2 children. I had my daughter at the end of April last year. So that was right in the height of early COVID as it came here to California, specifically Southern California. And the birth experience and then the couple of months that followed were pretty intense. And had I not been heavily involved in this field here locally, I most likely would have been left really sorting through some pretty severe feelings of just isolation and heightened or extreme anxiety just in figuring out how to navigate through those first months, being more alone than ever, just considering the government lockdowns and all that we are living through and have experienced in the year of 2020, and that continues on into 2021. So hopefully we're on our way out of that, and hopefully things across the globe will start to shift and we can all begin to come back together and support one another as a community. This is just something to consider as we explore stepping into this scope as an Ayurvedic postpartum doula. All right. So, a foundational Ayurvedic teaching. Um, Sorry, my notes are jumping around. A foundational Ayurvedic teaching is that all health, wellness, imbalance, or development of disease and ill health begins with the gut. So let's chat gut for a moment. And while I start to make my way through some of these notes and some of our discussion today, or in the next hour, I would also love to hear from you guys over in the chat box. What are some other factors that you know of, or maybe that you've experienced yourself, or that close friends, close colleagues, clients of yours have experienced that may have also triggered to either current or past experiences of perinatal anxiety or depression? So, what are some other triggers other than the isolation that may come up with just the aloneness that we all know in the face of healing following birth, but also considering the time that we're having to spend alone in our own homes, being pretty isolated from the outside world throughout times of pandemic. So keep that in mind. If there's something that you want to add over into the chat box, you're welcome to. So again, one of the Ayurvedic foundational teachings is that all health and wellness and balance or development of disease and ill health, really starts with the gut, and then from the gut it moves out to impact all tissues of the body, including body and mind. So in the course, one of the key terms that we consider and discuss in detail is Agni. Agni, for those of you that are newer to Ayurveda, Agni refers to the digestive fire within every cell of our body. Specifically, and as we'll consider it today, it's the strength of our gut, which breaks down and helps us to properly digest or absorb food that moves into the body and remove the rest as waste. So anything that enters the body, it helps it to move through these phases of digestion, and anything that's not serving us is passed through, is one of the really key elements and key aspects that Agni has in just maintaining our health. So when you think of digestion, your mind may automatically go to food intake. The Ayurvedic approach to digestion, it emphasizes building gut strength for a positive impact not only on the body, but also on the mind. So taking care of the digestive fire within ourselves is key to achieving and then maintaining. So there's two parts to this: achieving, but then also the ongoing process of maintaining optimal balance and complete health. So Agni is a transformative agent that processes all that enters into our body, from foods, thoughts, memories, experiences, emotions, conversations, all that takes place, et cetera, et cetera. Really anything that the senses provide us throughout the day. Agni takes care of the digestive process and the digestive transformation that goes on within the body to move through it and to process it. When Agni levels are kept strong, or when they're rebuilt after a hugely transformative experience such as birth, then we're able to absorb the nutrients of all that moves in and eliminate the rest as waste. So this it might be helpful to really consider this with the foods that we eat. We're also able to hold space for ourselves for clearly witnessing the journey that we have or that we're currently going through as we enter this role of early parenthood. So keeping our Agni sharp, keeping it strong, has benefits, again, across mind and body, which is the whole approach of this practice of Ayurveda. So again, a strong Agni, or another closely related term, is tapas. Tapas enables a steady tending to the flame, which brings not only health, but it brings clarity and steady fuel of the mind, steady fuel of the body, of the energy, that it requires throughout each day, which I think that most of us can um, relate to, either just again as human beings functioning in the modern world today, or perhaps in functioning our way through early childhood, early parenthood ourselves. So those early days of parenthood, our whole schedule and this idea of routine, while it's still very important to maintain it as best as possible, it often looks and feels and manifests itself quite a bit differently than life has leading up to this point. Suddenly, you're not getting 8 hours of sleep at night. It may look like a couple of hours here and there. So maintaining this level of tapas in the body by supporting tapas through Agni, through the foods that go in, through practices that we use, super simple practices, but by everything that goes into the body, adding just a constant, healthy amount of fuel to this fire to maintain the level of tapas helps us to maintain, again, the clarity and the steady fuel which is required through early parenthood, perhaps all of parenthood, I might add. What's important to understand is that weaker Agni or impaired Agni can lead to storing instead of eliminating. So it can lead to storing waste in the body, which builds up to create toxic, unmetabolized material, which is referred to as ama. Ama, again, this might be a new term for a few of you, but ama is, or it can be, extremely detrimental to our health. A little bit is common. In fact, there's probably not many of us here in this call today that live with completely ama-free bodies. I think it's very normal and common to have a slight amount of ama in the body, but what's important is to, again, maintain this heat and this energy that's capable of cleaning through it, of sweeping it as best as possible throughout the tissues of the body. So it can lead to, the buildup of ama can lead to all kinds of imbalances, starting with a dosha imbalance. And the dosha imbalance, again, the doshas, I'll say a little bit more about this in a minute, but the doshas include vata, pitta, and kapha, and a dosha imbalance of one or more of those doshas is one of the causative factors of any number of health conditions, including depression and anxiety. So a quick look at the doshas. For those of you that may be newer to Ayurveda, again, there are 3 doshas that Ayurveda considers throughout the mind and body. Those 3 doshas are vata, pitta, and kapha. For the newer mother, vata dosha is already out of balance, and the additional buildup of ama may push vata even further. And it may slow down the deep repair that is needed following delivery. So these 2 factors together, an imbalance of vata dosha and the buildup of ama in the body, is more likely to lead to illness and can trigger emotional instability, fatigue, and the list goes on. All right, I'm going to jump over and check my chat box because I see a couple of chats coming in. Awesome. Okay. We'll get back to those in just a moment. So, post-birth recovery. Post-birth recovery and learning how to rekindle the level of Agni in one's body after birth, and then how to maintain it is an important step in the first few weeks and in the first few months following delivery or following childbirth. The recipes that we share in the first 42 days recipe ebook are considered Agni Deepana. Deepana is a term, Dipana is an Ayurvedic term, which refers to reestablishing and re-stimulating, rebuilding the levels of Agni, or the metabolic fire, within our bodies, which helps to open and clear channels throughout the mind and body. So you know that when you think of a really heavy meal that perhaps you had at some point in the year or in the past few months, it might have been a big slice of delicious cake that you ate, something that left you feeling a heaviness and more of a tamasic, heavy or dull energy. The property is that having a strong Agni or a strong metabolic fire can have on the body, the effect that it can have on the body is it can help to move through, again, the process of digestion, the different phases of digestion, to clear things up and open up the channels of, again, the mind and body, and to bring you back to feeling clear, sharp, your appetite back for the right foods, meaning you're not craving sugary, sweet things. But you're back to your routine of craving the foods that serve you best through breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and those meals in between as you need them in order to sustain your energy throughout the day. So let's take a look at a couple of the top ingredients that we use, or that we encourage to be used following birth. And I'm also going to share, if we have time here in this conversation today, and if we run out of time, I'm going to share it with you via email, a couple of my favorite recipes, all of which the ingredients, the recipes themselves are really wonderful at helping to rebuild the Agni and to reestablish Agni after it's been relatively depleted following the birthing process, or to reestablish gut health for a newborn mother. So this is just a quick look at the list of the healing ingredients that I'll talk about today. Ghee, oats. A few of my favorite recipes in our recipe ebook include just different porridge, oatmeal porridge recipes, and different ways of preparing the porridge or oatmeal for mothers to enjoy in the mornings or throughout the day as a way to preserve her energy and support breast milk production, but I'll say more about that in a moment. We're also going to take a look at almonds, which are an amazing sattvic ingredient. I'll say more about that in a moment as well. And a couple of the recipes that I'm going to share with you are rice congee, or sometimes referred to as rice pudding. Spiced milk, which can be prepared a couple of different ways, and recovery dal, which is a delicious dal to prepare for the brand new mother in the first couple of days following childbirth. All right, so the first ingredient that let's chat about is ghee. Ghee is amazing. Truly an Ayurvedic superfood, especially for newborn mothers. Energy is increased and stabilized when ghee is used. Ghee, by the way, if there's anyone, type in the chat if you're unfamiliar with ghee, but what ghee is it's clarified butter, which means that it's butter and all of the milk solids, the hard to digest milk solids, are cooked out of it, and it's just this pure nectar, as the Ayurvedic ancient texts refer to it as. So it's incredible at stabilizing and increasing your energy when it's used in cooking. It's one of the most important medicines in Ayurveda because it's easy to digest, and it's also ojas building. So ojas, OJAS, is the essence of all healthy tissue in the body. It's the essence which helps to establish immunity. It helps to stabilize energy, and it also helps to bring happiness. Substances that improve ojas are recommended after Birth, of course, which is why we're talking about it here. It's also encouraged after a long-term illness, debility, emotional or physical trauma, and even sadness. Consuming ghee also helps the body to nourish depleted tissue. It helps to comfort the nervous system. And again, it's a postnatal superfood. One other special note that I'll add here about ghee and using it internally um, is that it's wonderful for helping to support those that are experiencing constipation, which I think is a relatively common experience for newborn mothers, right? So ghee is wonderful at targeting specifically the large intestine or the colon and oiling it up, lubricating and helping things to more easily move through without that dryness, without the pain. Um, those of you that are parents or that have recently given birth, I'm sure can somewhat relate to what I'm speaking of. So ghee is a divine ingredient indeed. The next ingredient that let's chat about is oatmeal. Oatmeal or oats, it has a slimy quality. Ayurveda is really big, really keen on looking at the qualities and how they affect each of the doshas. So oats have a slimy quality, which helps to soften the GI tract. Again, the gut health is considered first, and by establishing a really strong gut health, helps to bring about balance and health throughout the body. So oats are also ojas building. They're also wonderful for pacifying or balancing. Pacifying is a term that you'll probably hear often when having these conversations around Ayurveda, but pacifying is just another term for balancing. It's wonderful for pacifying Vata dosha. There's not any scientific evidence yet regarding oatmeal and milk supply. However, oatmeal has been found to increase breast milk supply and production for some. And in countries, there's a traditional wisdom that's used and followed, which recommends directly eating oatmeal as a way to increase milk supply. So again, throughout the first 42 days and taking a look at our recipe ebook, which is included in the course, oatmeal is an ingredient that we use frequently, especially for breakfast dishes. It has a really nice way for leaving those that consume it feeling nourished, energized, grounded, relaxed, kind of all at the same time. So it's a really great way to begin the day for new mothers. All right, the next ingredient that we'll chat about is almonds. Almonds is considered, again, a galactagogue. Galactagogue is a term referred to as an ingredient which stimulates breast milk production. Just had to take a sip of my tea to keep my own throat nourished and lubricated as I'm speaking so much. So almonds are wonderful in that they're found as a galactagogue supporting breast milk production. They're also mildly warming. They help to sustain your energy. They're rich in natural oils. They have all of the ideal qualities for grounding and balancing Vata dosha. So let's take a little side tangent conversation for a moment and consider Vata dosha a little bit closer, which again, Ayurveda uses the qualities to describe and relate the different aspects within our body. Vata dosha, the qualities that make up Vata dosha are cold, light, and mobile. So those qualities, cold, light, and mobile, that make up Vata dosha can be balanced by applying qualities that are opposite. So when you eat foods, which is why it's important to eat foods that are warming, nourishing, grounding for the body and for the mother following birth. Almonds, for example, having this warming quality, meaning it's not necessarily a warm temperature that you're eating or consuming or enjoying, but it's the post digestive effect. So it's what goes on in the gut after you've consumed it, maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes after you've consumed it. It generates some heat. So it's mildly warming. It helps to sustain your energy, all really great qualities for balancing Vata dosha. It's also very calming for an overactive or an overbusy nervous system. Almonds are found to be brain building. They bring increased clarity or just an increase ease and clarity to the increased clarity and ease to thought. They're also a sattvic ingredient. So I'll talk about sattvic and what that refers to in a moment, but in order to achieve this sattvic quality in almonds, it's important to soak them first. So what I recommend and how I prepare them in my own practice is I'll purchase a bag of whole, plain, organic almonds from the store. I'll soak them over either overnight or at least for 4 to 6 hours throughout the day, and then I'll peel them. So it's pretty easy after you've soaked them just to use your thumb and forefinger, give them a little pinch. It takes some practice, but pinch them and literally the nut slips out of the skin. And then when you enjoy the almonds that way, so you can prepare, you know, anywhere from like 15 to 25 of these almonds that have been soaked and the skin peeled off, is a really nice snack just to have on hand, a little dish of it, of the almonds this way at a new mother's table, which is right next to her rocking chair, wherever she's going to spend more time throughout the day. So sattva, what that refers to is sattvic foods promote awareness and a refreshed mind by nourishing the body without taxing digestion. Sattvic foods do not stimulate desire or nervous energy. They create clarity instead of drowsiness or heaviness. So sattvic in our foods is a quality certainly that we're after. Hang on, I'm going to go back to, sorry, I see that a couple more people must have dropped out of the meeting and are requesting to be readmitted. So give me just a moment. Okay. All right, back to almonds. So sattva. Sattvic is an ingredient, an important quality that we encourage in the foods that we use following birth, and really a good way to bring about more of this sattvic quality in our foods is to think obviously fresh grown or fresh foods depending on your season, depending on your local climate. So wherever you're located in the world, what's growing fresh, what's in season, what's available that you can cook and prepare, you know, throughout the day or throughout this chunk of time, and serve yourself so that it's warm, nourishing, and hopefully also has the grounding quality. So we go over sattva and in each of these foods also in depth in our course. All right. So we have about 15 minutes left, and I'm going to talk for a moment about these recipes. Whoops. So let me enter into a different screen. Okay, I'm going to share spiced milk because the other ones are, I mean, they're all pretty simple, straightforward recipes. I'm going to share spiced milk today in this call, and then you'll receive all of the recipes through an email that I'll send later. We'll talk about spiced milk right now in case anyone has any questions. Give me a moment to share my screen again. All right. Spiced milk. All right. Are you guys seeing the spiced milk recipe? Cool. All right. This is a wonderful recipe that's great to prepare in the first couple of days following birth. If it's a home birth or a birth center birth, the spiced milk can be enjoyed right away. It can also certainly, people always ask me, you know, what if I've gone beyond the first couple of weeks? Are these recipes still beneficial? Absolutely. I'm entering month 10 since my own birth of my daughter, and I'm still enjoying these recipes. Definitely not every single day, but frequently throughout the week here and there, I'll pick a recipe out and prepare it for myself and can feel the benefits pretty tremendously. So spiced milk is incredible. And what I just wanted to say quickly about this is that there's a lot of Ayurvedic research, which you guys can do a little Google search on for yourself, on the great benefits of consuming whole, organic, grass-fed cow's milk, which might send off some surprises. The key here, as I said, is ensuring that it's local milk if possible, comes from a grass-fed source if possible, organic, fresh, cream top, like all of the bells and whistles of the best milk that you can possibly get your hands on. Then there's a really specific way for how to prepare it. So this, I'm just if okay, yeah. This is a list of, the screen that you're looking at is a list of the ingredients. So if you, or if mothers that you support are vegan and they don't want to consume cow's milk, it's also okay to consume or to prepare this recipe using oat milk or almond milk. I've seen it done with almond milk in the past before. So either of those two options are fine. In fact, play with this recipe. Feel free to use it in whichever different forms of milk you'd like, and let us know how it goes. So as you explore with these recipes and as you prepare them yourselves, snap some pictures, take some stories, post some stories over on Instagram, and make sure you tag Ayurvedic Mamas. We would love to see it, and we'll certainly be happy to share it. So I'm going to scroll over and take a look at the instructions, which really helps. This is kind of key for making the milk, the cow's milk, if that's what's being used, easy on the body and relatively easy for digestion and extremely nourishing for the body and the mind, also helping for the mother's body to move through that process of breast milk production. So slowly bringing it to a boil is key. And as you start to warm the milk is when you start to add the spices and the ghee. And the important thing to keep in mind as you slowly bring your milk to a boil is that your heat on the stove is turned pretty low, depending on your stove level and the heat that it puts out. But I'll usually do this so that it's just slightly lower than like the midway, the halfway point of, or the medium level of heat that can be used. It's slightly less than that. And I'll have a whisk, and as the heat of the milk is increasing, I'll whisk in each of the herbs or each of the ingredients that I'm cooking into the ghee, or I'm sorry, that I'm cooking into the milk. And as soon as it starts to steam, as soon as you can see the heat as it starts to rise to the surface of the milk, so before it actually reaches that boil, but just as the heat starts to rise, is when you would turn the heat off, slide the pot off of the stove, whisk it again, let it rest for a few minutes, and then return it to the heat and move through that process again. Remembering to keep the heat pretty low, remembering to stay there and to stay attentive with it as you're preparing it and stirring it and whisking it as you go through this preparation process. So practice with this recipe, play with it, play with the ingredients that you use and the herbs that you use. This recipe is also often referred to as mother's chai. It's essentially a chai recipe, all of the chai ingredients, just minus the black tea, obviously. If you're preparing it for yourself and you're consuming caffeine, or you're okay with having a little bit of black tea, feel free to add some black tea and play with that as well. Having homemade chai, there's nothing like it. So I think that's all that I'm gonna chat about on this particular recipe. I wanted to make sure, let me exit my screen share. I'm gonna send these recipes over through an email. So don't worry about jotting any notes if you didn't get the whole thing written down. So I wanted to spend a couple of minutes to just open it up for discussion and questions. The first thing, however, that I wanted to let you guys each know about is a early bird rate that we are extending for our Ayurvedic postpartum doula course. The early bird rate actually closed yesterday, but for each of you, we're extending it for 48 more hours. So within the next 24 hours, you're going to be receiving an email with these recipes. You'll also be receiving a code, which you can put into the registration, which will give you 10% off on the doula training for those of you that are considering joining. We would love to see you on the inside. And if you have any questions at all, I'm always available. If not here in this Zoom meeting, shoot me an email and I am available. So let me jump back over to our chat screen. And if anybody has questions really about anything that we chatted about today, I would love, love, love to hear it.
Is it all right to just ask?
Yes, please.
Awesome. So I've been working as an Ayurvedic doula for the last, 18 months since training with Jenna and Lisa. And one of the things I've run into is several moms that exhibit more of a pitta imbalance in their postpartum, which has made it a little bit challenging from time to time. A lot of these moms also have a history with mental health. And so I would love just your perspective on gut health and just creating a game plan in alignment with a different dosha that's exhibiting in the postpartum.
Yeah, that's a good question. And also a really common question. I think, so what I'll say is that Vata really is the driver of the other two doshas. So though each of us, every single human being here on planet Earth today, we're all going to experience a different nature or a different makeup of the three doshas. The pitta imbalances that new mothers often experience is the fluctuation of body heat that they feel in their body. So I've worked with clients that will be really cold throughout the day and have to bundle up. And then an hour will go by and they're covered in sweat and they strip everything off. Or they'll wake up in the morning and they've had a hormonal, fluctuation or surge, a heat surge, and they wake up and their sheets are soaked and it's like, I don't know if this is milk that my sheets are wet with, is it sweat that my sheets are wet with? So that also is really common. So yes, while the heat that they experience certainly does point to pitta dosha, the driving force behind the actual fluctuation between cold and hot, just to simplify it, is all driven by Vata. So still working to treat Vata dosha first and primarily, I'd say, is most important. But when it comes to considering ingredients, for your clients that may be more of a pitta imbalance, you can consider like small shifts and changes throughout your recipes. So for those of you that have done our course in the past, or for those of you that are going to be enrolling in this current course, our recipe ebook has notes on different ingredients that can be swapped out. And so, for example, using ghee in each of these dishes can certainly help to establish and build up an internal heat in the body. Another example of using heat across the body is I strongly encourage self-massage with sesame oil, which is also heating. So for a mother that's experiencing a lot of pitta, she might swap both of those two ingredients out, both for internal use and external use. And instead of using ghee internally and sesame oil externally, she might favor coconut oil. So every single ingredient, you can again put this into Google. You can look to our course ebook or our recipe ebook on notes on whether an ingredient is heating or cooling. If you have a question that's not answered through those resources, feel free to shoot me a note, but that's a really good question. Thank you, Jennifer. All right, I see a question from Kirsten. She says, what are your thoughts behind postponing Ayurvedic herbs to 8 days after birth? Yes, 100%. I would say 8 days and then some, even if possible. And that is because, again, what we've been talking about this morning or in the last hour is that following birth, Agni levels are low. They've dropped significantly. And as you take whatever it is that's going into the body, but in this case, an Ayurvedic herb, it takes some heat, it takes some strength in the gut to move through it, to metabolize it, to assimilate it, to really move it through the body and to see an effect, like the right effect that you're after. So it takes at least 8 days, and if not longer, maybe even 2 to 3 weeks following birth for the optimal Agni level to be reestablished. And then at that point, it might be safe to reconsider using some of the Ayurvedic herbs. Ayurvedic herbs, by the way, that I'm referring to at this point are herbs such as shatavari, ashwagandha, guduchi. Those are the herbs that are a little bit heavier. So those are the ones that it would be great to wait at least a couple of weeks. Kitchen herbs, on the other hand, such as cinnamon and cumin and coriander and powdered ginger, powdered ginger, clove. So kitchen herbs, those can be used right away. Those can be used literally day one, first 24 hours. The only note that I'll add for these cases and for this instance is you can minimize the amount. So if you have a little dish blended up of the first 42 days spice blend, which is also included in the recipe ebook, if you have a dish of those spices, maybe just take a pinch of it and add it to the dishes that you're preparing, either again for yourself or for the client that you're working with in the first couple of days following birth. But in those first couple of days following birth, it's wonderful to begin to dive into use of the kitchen herbs right away. Great question. Miranda, is the milk okay with kapha characteristics? Sounds like the spice helps with that. Yes, absolutely. There's black pepper in the spiced milk tonic, the spiced milk recipe that I just shared with you, which is ideal, really ideal for someone that's more of a kapha body type nature. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here and for all of your lovely, amazing questions. It's amazing to see each of you, old faces, old dear friends, some new faces. We're excited to have each of you in our course, those of you that are considering to enroll. Thank you so much for being here. Sending lots of love. An email is coming to you in the next 24 hours. Those of you that are tuning in later, listening to the recording, thank you as well for being here, and let's stay in touch. I'll see you online over on Instagram or through our newsletter. Send me an email if you have any questions about anything. Namaste, everyone. Have a lovely day. Mwah.